Cindy's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you a recipe that I just discovered today, and it was so good that I had to make it again for you all to show you how yummy it is. It is cranberry orange scones.
Say it again.
Cranberry orange scones from Sally's Baking Addiction. And these recipes from her site always come out fabulous. And I tried this morning for our breakfast, and it was so good. But Dahlia was so confused because she saw me baking and kept going over to the lighting and the camera equipment going, "Mom, you're supposed to be on camera." She kept doing this repeatedly, so...
We have her trained well.
Yeah. But anyway, so 2 cups of flour. And then it calls for 2.5 teaspoons.
It's a big difference.
Yes, of baking powder. And this is an adjustable tool. We ended up winning a prize at the fair. But, so 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And then it needs a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And this is a whole teaspoon, so I'll just fill it halfway. Alright. And with those 3 things, we're going to stir them together. And the secret to this recipe is frozen butter. Not just cold from the fridge, but frozen. And you will grate it over the mixing bowl. So, and these are little 1/4 cup sticks that I got. They were a good price that the grocery outlet had. And it's Land O'Lakes, which is really good quality dairy products. So, but not just cold butter, frozen butter.
Frozen butter. Because
the flour encases these little bitty particles of frozen butter, and they don't break down until they get into the oven. And when they melt, they make a really light and crispy, soft crumb for the scones. So I'm just grating the butter. I know that sounds strange, but you get really nice tiny particles of butter.
I was just about to ask if you ever said you would be grating butter.
It's grade A butter, and I'm getting grated. But see, you can get in there and you can see what the little bitty particles of butter look like. And this is what gives the scones their really tender crumb. The crumb is the texture of a baked good. Earlier I did this with partially frozen butter, and it was easier to handle because cold and slippery is a bad combination. But hands are cold. Tyler, you're like moving in time with my hands. Alright, so we're almost at the tail end of the butter. This is really... Usually butter is squishy or cold, but this is actually cold and hard. So, anyway, I'm afraid I'm ended up cutting myself with the grater.
Yeah, we don't need blood with our scones.
No, we don't need any protein added additions to this. Anyway.
So kind of show the bits that you left off so that, you know.
So there's that, and then
It looks like mozzarella cheese.
It does. It's got little tight curls. I'm just gonna cut this into little bitty bits because I want to get all the butter in there because that's what makes it tender and flaky. And rather than getting the grater with my fingers, this is a little bit easier to control. It makes everybody nervous when I do this with the paring knife, but when you have quality cooking equipment, you're less likely to hurt yourself. Plus, I have lots of experience handling stuff. But anyway, this is one of the things that gives it the most tender crumb. And then after we get this together, they will need to chill prior to baking. So we will show you that in just a little bit. I'm just putting the last little bits of butter in here, because this is probably a tablespoon or two of butter, and I don't want to miss out on that in the recipe. It's too challenging to guide this hunk of frozen slippery butter across the grater.
Yeah.
So that is what we do first. And then what I did earlier when I made these that I'm doing again is I almost forgot the sugar.
Well, we can't forget the sugar.
No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir the flour and the butter together just so the sugar won't stick all to the butter. So it calls for a 1/2 cup of sugar. A little more than 1/2 cup. Okay. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to assemble our cold part, the cold wet part of the batter, which is a 1/2 cup of heavy cream or buttermilk. I almost always have buttermilk on hand for baking. And then plus it also is really good to marinate your chicken in too. There's that. And then we have an egg, which is currently hiding.
No, it's right there. On the other side of the baking.
Behind the baking powder. Okay.
Yep.
Alright. I'm going to put that in there.
Wow.
And then I'm just going to mix this up real quick. Before I add egg to a liquid part of a recipe, I always like to scramble it a little bit to make sure the yolk is all broken up. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. So that's that. And mix that up together. Yeah. Alright, it's just part of the albumin of the egg. Alright. And then we're going to put in a heaping cup of frozen cranberries. These are the ones that you get from the produce department. And I just happen to have them in my freezer.
Now, why frozen?
Frozen keeps the dough cold. And cold dough makes for a more tender crumb and a better rise in your baked goods.
Okay. Now, could you take fresh cranberries and freeze them, or is it just be easier to get the ones that you got in the bag?
It's just easier.
Okay.
You don't need to overcomplicate things.
Nope.
Alright, and it's Cranberry Orange Scones. So now that my hands are all slippery, from the butter. Alright.
You can see you have butterfingers.
Yeah.
And not the candy.
No. This is a microplane grater. And I went through all my kitchen equipment over the holidays and I located some stuff I'd forgotten about. So this microplane will make finer zest.
Wow.
Because before I was using the zester and then having to cut it up. So this microplane, it makes a more fine zest.
I could smell it.
Yeah. It calls for 1 teaspoon of zest. And last time I actually used 2 oranges worth of zest, which is like a tablespoon, because I really like the orange flavor that it imparts when you put a lot of zest in something. As well as having extra juice to make the glaze after we get it baked. And these are oranges from our tree. We're blessed to have a tree in our backyard that has beautiful oranges.
One of the benefits of living in California.
Yeah. So actually I think that's enough zest. So, alright. So, gonna put the zest in the dry. Alright, I'm gonna do that. Then you're gonna mix the zest into the flour mixture. Just stir it up. And then we're going to add in the cranberries. And I'm going to toss them a little bit because it's good to coat your fruit with a little bit of flour. It keeps it from sticking to itself. And then the liquid mixture. All right. And then we're going to stir this up.
I like the way how you basically turn it over as you're stirring.
Yeah. And what I neglected to do initially was blend the butter and the flour together with the pastry blender. I skipped a step because I was distracted by a dog grunting and snorting in the background because she gets a little hyper sometimes. But anyway, I'm sure it'll come out fine. I just skipped over this step. So when you add the butter to the flour mixture, you're supposed to cut it with a pastry blender first. But I was distracted by a dog, so. All right.
Well, it's like some of those, like what Bob Ross used to say, those little happy accidents. It's still happy little accidents that still work out.
Yeah. All right. Happy little accident. So, let me clear this up just a little bit. And then I will show you how to roll it out. All right. Move those. I move the pastry mat down here. I like this because it sticks to the counter.
Okay, where'd you get that again?
At Marceline's Confectionery in downtown Disney. All right. And in my Parmesan container that I recycled, this is really good for dusting surfaces. So when you make cookies or biscuits, you've got flour. All right, so I'm just gonna squeeze together the dough a little bit since I didn't mix it properly initially. But these are the most delicious scones I've ever tasted, which is why I had to make an episode for you guys to see how absolutely delicious they are. So I'm gonna put that on there. All right, happy little accident here. We're going to knead out the dough a little bit because it's kind of sticky. Make sure it's well mixed. All right. So, and at this point, I'm going to split it into two, kind of like our other scone recipe, and then put some more flour down. And it's all stuck to me.
It's been very, very humid lately.
Yeah, we had a downpour earlier, and we live in a desert climate, so all this wet weather is, you know,
unusual.
We spend so much time in hot and dry, we forget what cold and wet is like.
Yep. You couldn't have said it better.
We thought we'd snag some opportunity to do some yard work today, but nope.
Nope.
The sound of the weed whacker turned the rain on, so. That's what you call a desert rain dance.
Yeah.
Turn your power tools on and whoop, here comes the rain. All right.
That or putting your convertible top down in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to cut this into 8 wedges. The sound of the cranberries popping under the knife. Sounds gruesome, but it makes delicious scones.
Now, just out of curiosity, what made you decide to try this recipe?
I love the flavor combination of cranberry and orange.
Oh, okay.
My dad used to love a cranberry orange relish at Thanksgiving time, and it's a great combination of flavors.
Because I would never have thought of like having cranberries and oranges together.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. Whoops. All right.
You got two at the same time.
I guess I did. It's like, wait for me. It's kind of like the aliens in Toy Story.
You've saved our lives. We are eternally grateful.
Yeah. All right. So let's do the other round. Put some more flour down. There's a little lump of flour in there. It's irritating me. It keeps plugging up the hole. Doesn't want any molecules of flour to come out onto the board. So the nice thing about having a pastry mat is you can use your hands to round it out by following the pattern on the pastry mat. So one time I tried to roll out a pizza. We made fresh pizza. And by the time I rolled out the dough without a measuring guide, it looked more like the Millennium Falcon than a round pizza. But it was actually memorable because everybody who loves Star Wars was like, oh, that's a cool pizza. It's like, well, yeah, it is. Just wasn't intended to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't intended to be shaped like the Millennium Falcon.
It just turned out
Millennium,
that way.
excuse me.
All right. And I'm going to put the second pan of these. All right, I'll turn this around just a little bit. You gotta give the scones room to breathe. So I didn't want to crowd them all into one pan. And let me wash the dough off my hands. All right, and I'm just gonna put, I'm gonna give a little milk wash for color on here. I didn't do that on the previous batch. I think because I was so hungry, I forgot about it. But you can make this with heavy cream or buttermilk. So I'm putting a little bit of a wash on them. And then if you have coarse sanding sugar, you can put that on. And actually, I think I do have some, now that I think about it. I have some from a gingerbread house that we made. So that's the tray one. All right. Get a little bit more for the second pan. And just do that. That'll make a nice shiny crust. All right. Okay, and let me grab that sanding sugar real quick. I know right where it's at because I cleaned out my cabinets. I can use this sanding sugar on here.
You just pinch it on there.
Yeah. It'll give it more of a crispness. Oops, I'm losing my apron. I feel naked. I didn't realize I lost that. We want to keep the show G-rated, better keep my apron on. Oh boy. Dahlia's like watching me. Alright, and now that these are all ready, they need to chill for a minimum of 15 minutes in the refrigerator. So that way they get really chilled before you put them in the hot oven. Because we're going to set the oven to 400. But in the meantime, go ahead and like and subscribe and share to your friends and give me your feedback. And we'll bring you back after they've chilled and we'll put them in the oven. We're bringing these out of the refrigerator. We gave them extra long chilling time because you can even chill them up to overnight.
Really?
And so you can do all the prep in the evening and then bake them in the morning for a nice quick breakfast.
What's the least amount of time you chill them for? I mean, you check
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer them onto another cookie sheet because I don't want to take a super, super cold cookie sheet and put it into a scalding hot oven because it will warp. So, and you're supposed to cook these on parchment so that way you can just take the parchment, put it on another cookie sheet.
Right.
So we move that and do the same with this other one. And actually, I think the recommended time is 30 minutes for the chilling. Alright, so we're going to bake these at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. So let me go ahead and put these in the oven. Alright, set the timer for 25. Alright, and then we'll bring you back when they come out of the oven. And the scones got done ahead of schedule. It says 25 minutes, but at the 20-minute mark, my nose told me they were getting too done, so I quickly pulled them out of the oven.
Well, they look great.
Yeah, so now we're going to show you how to make the orange glaze that will go on top of them.
Oh, the glaze? There's a glaze that goes on top of it?
Yep, and that will show you, that'll give them time to cool off so we can do a taste test after we put the glaze on. So we have a cup of confectioner sugar, otherwise known as powdered sugar. And then we're going to squeeze the lemon that we...
Or the orange?
Yes. I'm thinking of my lemon squares, obviously. We're going to cut the orange that we zested earlier, because it calls for 2 to 3 tablespoons of orange juice. And since you've already got an orange that you zested, just use the liquid from that orange. You can use bottled orange juice, but if you've already got a fresh orange, use the real orange. It's worth it. And especially in the wintertime, citrus is easier to come by. I know it is around here in Central California where we are. Alright. So one orange made quite a bit of juice.
Oh, wow.
Probably about at least a quarter cup of juice. And we need 3 tablespoons. So what I'm going to do, take a little tablespoon measure, and I'm going to have the little miniature strainer here, so that way in case there's any seeds in it, we can weed them out.
Okay.
Just going to put that over make the glaze.
So you put the juice over the glaze, or over the
Powdered sugar, so it can dissolve. Actually, there's no seeds in here, so I'm not going to worry about that. So there's 2, 3, and I'm going to put just a little bit more. I like extra citrus, so. And a little whisk. We're going to make the glaze. See, it's dissolving. Smooth it out a little bit. Alright. And you can just take your whisk and dribble it on the scones.
Huh.
It doesn't have to be fancy. And you want to let the scones cool for a couple minutes, but in the time it took us to make the glaze, they've cooled off just a teeny bit. So we're gonna... And you can make fancy drizzle patterns or just plop it on there.
Now, I've never known scones to have a glaze on them.
Yeah. It can be however you want it to be. See got the nice crisp crust on the scones?
Yep. So you were saying that you were able to determine that they were done not by the timer but by the nose?
I have a baker's nose. I sometimes don't time things because I can smell when they're getting done. It's just like when you have toddlers, you know that they're getting into something when it's too quiet.
Yeah.
I know things to be done just by how they smell or how they look.
So how does one acquire a baker's nose?
Lots of experience. I've been baking for a long time. I love to bake. All right. So spread this out a little bit. All right. Whoops.
Nope. You'll lose your bowl.
Better than losing my sanity.
Yep.
All right. All right. So let's get a plate out. See our nice pretty scones. The more they cool before you put the glaze on, the less spreading the glaze will do. But all right. So I will hold the camera and you can taste test them.
Okay. Yeah, I get to be the taste
Just be
tester.
mindful, they might be a little hot.
A little hot?
Yes.
Over this way a little bit so I get out of the light is behind me, so.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can really taste the orange in this. And the cranberries too.
Yeah.
You can see the cranberries are just peeking out from that.
Yep.
Really good. This is really good.
Yeah. All right.
So,
All right, so that is our cranberry orange glazed scones, courtesy of Sally's Baking Addiction. When I need to find a way to bake something, I will Google it, and then I often come up with recipes from her site, and they've always been very successful. So I'll do my best to put a link in the description for this video. But this is the most fabulous recipe for scones I've made and that I've tasted. So do give it a try, and please leave us a comment and let us know how it worked for you. And please like and subscribe and share to your friends, and join us again soon for another episode.
thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, and neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.